When we are dreaming, we have a perception of a experience on the dream itself, which tends to be not as accurate as we experience the so-called reality, which in fact everything is real. But when you are awake, going through life, you have a higher level of conscious and awareness of the space in which you are and what you get to know, what you know of yourself, of everything, than when you are on a dream state. And at the same time, you perceive things as being more real when you are awake than when you are dreaming. So, in fact, there's another, at least another, it could be more than just one more, but there's a whole level of conscious and awareness that you can achieve in this reality in which we operate, which is the multidimensional space. And how can you actually do this? Well, the training ground, in a way, is a process of actually going to remember more and more of your dreams and trying to be consciously more present within the dreams. And as you focus on being like more present on the dreams and retaining more memory of the dream state, you'll realize with time that the dreams themselves become more and more real in terms of how you perceive them to occur, which means that there are dreams that can become so real that you cannot even distinguish if you are experiencing something that when you are awake or if it is just a dream. However, there are specific things for you to do that may or may not confirm you if you are dreaming or if you are living a real experience. But the main crucial thing here is actually to attain a whole level of conscious and awareness in the real life per se. Because the moment you can tap into this, you really remember everything that you ever experienced in your life. And I'm speaking about not just the life in which you remember, which is for most people this life in which we are born and we are living, but also all of your other lives before you came to this one to exist. Because it's pretty much granted that everyone already had past lives, either on this planet or on other planets, being other identities like other species. So, essentially, if you can get to the third layer of conscious per se, which is a state in which you realize that this experience here that feels real for us is actually a dream, and the reality can actually be the other level, when in fact everything is real. But this is just a measure for you to understand that what we perceive as being real is actually a level of a dream state. And the reason we don't remember this, it's because we choose to forget because before we came down to this experience. So, why did we choose to forget our memory? And how can we access this? To access this, you have to raise a bunch of questions around this topic and trying to retain more and more memory of your dream state. And naturally, the thoughts of the dreams that seem to be random and isolated, they will start to actually connect to things within you and within your mind. They will start to make sense and you'll understand the why of the dream experience that you're having. Each and every single dream has a meaning, And you can find the meaning by going through the dream itself. And the more collective data you gather around everything, the more you start to understand. So, this is a single person process. If you reach out to other people to try to understand the meaning of your dreams, it's probably not going to work because your dreams are entangled with your own experience. Unless you are dreaming actually experience of the collective experience, which is another human being's experience or another beings that could be alive that are experiencing that. But you will also understand with time when you are experiencing something that is of your own or if it's from outside of your unconscious. And again, the point is to actually remember everything so that you can integrate and understand how this works. But the reason we choose to forget is often explained by the fact that if we got to remember everything that we don't at this current state, most people would just wanted to get out. And the reason is because this density field in which we are, which is this earth living that we mostly experience, is actually a game mode that is harder than the game itself, in which the things truly happen, in which you have the whole presence of who you are and all of your memory back upon you. So imagine that essentially this playing field in which we are is a game that is one of the toughest game modes that you can experience. So, for people that play games, to make things simple, when you start a game, sometimes the game doesn't have certain levels of difficulty. And if you clear the game, you can actually clear it again with a harder level of difficulty. And in this particular case, you're clearing the game with a harder level of difficulty, and at the same time, you're erasing your memory, you're erasing your experience. Actually, it's not erased, it's just backed up on a place of subconscious in which you cannot access. You cannot access till you are aware of your power to actually regain the knowledge. The moment you are aware of this, you can start to remember. But again, essentially, it's like you're playing the hardest mode of the game and you're choosing to forget how you played the game before. So, this is like the toughest experience you can ever witness, or at least one of those. And most of us do this because most people may be wondering why would the hell would we choose to do this? Because it seems like for most people it's just overwhelming. But the truth is, when you tap out of these constructs and you retain the memory of everything, you understand that you came here for fun. You came here to experience a game mode that is funnier because it's harder, you know? Like most people may perceive, like if life becomes too easy, it actually starts to be less fun. And a lot of beings, a lot of conscious people that already pass the easiest game modes, they just want to experience a harder game. And the point is to experience it and to learn to have fun here. So, this is the point of the experience itself. You're supposed to be here to enjoy, to do whatever you choose, and to have fun. And this is why we chose to come. Often there's also missions that are specifically entangled to each one of us for us to build upon here. Like, for example, the most simple things you can have is people that choose to come here to live a life and create a family on your own, just get to meet someone to then have kids with and create a family and live life like that. So for most people, life in terms of this experience could just be very happy and meaningful this way. But then there's a lot another level of beings here as well that are just aiming for different things. And that's why you see people just having totally different paths in their own lives, because each one is actually meant to achieve something different. So when we are trying to make others or allow others to make their lives better, we should acknowledge that essentially the path in which they can become the happiest version of themselves is actually attained by them, by their own conscious. Because we cannot predict how happy someone can become by comparing to our own experience. Because again, we are unique, and the experience we choose to have here is also unique. But this is also another key aspect to the thing, which is as you retain more conscious and more awareness of everything that you don't remember but is in your subconscious mind, you start to get online with who you truly are and what you came here to do. And as this happens, essentially the game starts to be way easier. It starts to flow with a more natural, easy flow pace than ever before. And now is when you truly want to enjoy and when you truly are fulfilled within the game experience of life itself. So, essentially, this is why I'm actually building upon a structure and setting people free of their work. Because I'm gonna be honest here, this whole attain of conscious and regain memory, it is a process that takes its due time, and it's a process that is effectively extensive. It is something that is not really easy to do, but I can tell you that is really worth, because the moment you get online by the one that you truly are, then you play the game in a whole different level of difficulty and you get to enjoy way more. While most people only attain this level of awareness and remembering who they truly are when they die. Because when you die, in fact, you never die. What dies or what fades away is your body in which you are currently living. But the truth is that you have something within you that is not the body. And the body is essentially a vehicle for you to go through life. And when that vehicle is actually death, then you retain a whole level of conscious. Because the experience of the hardest mode of the game ends. And then you start to get online with everything. But again, you don't have to wait to die. And you shouldn't try to die, because the point is for you to regain this level of conscious and awareness on your own through clearing the game of life here and now. And everyone can do this. That's why we're all here now speaking about this new reality in which, in fact, always existed, but most people were